welcome you to another episode of The Pause, Reclaiming Our Time. Thank you for viewing. We are really loving all the feedback we've been getting thus far, and we're here to bring you some more because today is going to be a nice little juicy show. So we're going to have some really, really good questions going on today, and these brothers have absolutely agreed that they're going to be real with their answers. The goal for us here is to have something to take away and then give you some food for thought. So, Karen, you want to get started?
Yeah. So, guys, thank you for being here. So, it's gonna get real.
Let's
So
go.
I hope
Let's
you're ready.
go.
I hope you're ready to get real. Okay. So my first question is, what would you say you wish your father or older, your paternal influence would have shared with you about this phase of life, and what do you wish you had known that you kind of just like walked into, or like, gee, I wish somebody had told me this?
Well, I guess I'll start off. I think the one primary thing that it would have been nice for my parents to tell me is how fast the aging process takes place as you go and progress further on in life. Because literally, over my 56 years, unfortunately, 56.
I'm right there with you, brother.
I know. Welcome to my world.
I know, right? So,
But in those 56 years, I literally can tell you, I'd say every decade, time accelerates exponentially. So as you're getting older, you reach 30, you reach 40, you reach 50, you can literally feel the years just accelerating away from you. And honestly, I didn't really feel it really speed up until I was 50. And it was kind of scary because the years were going by so fast that I felt like, oh man, I'm not getting done what I need to get done. And that fear was getting worse and worse and
Like
worse.
what? So why don't you tell us,
progressively as I got
what
older.
do you feel like you didn't
Well,
get done?
I mean, hopefully everybody is doing this, but me personally, I usually set goals by decades. So, 30 years, I want to be here. 40 years, I want to be there. And I've tried to stay on that path and adjust and move along the way if I felt like I was not meeting my goals. But as I got to 40 and beyond, I started to feel like I was falling behind faster and faster and faster. And I'll tell you, it was a little unnerving to me, to where it started to affect my decision-making process, where maybe when I was younger and I felt like I had more time, my decisions would be a little bit more on the conservative side, perhaps, because I said, if this doesn't work out this way, I got time to adjust, make a change, whatever. Now in my 50s, I find I'm very like cut and dry. Boom, 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 boom. Don't waste my time. If I have any inkling that I'm in a meeting and I feel like this situation, which could potentially be good, is maybe not going to go well because the people that are involved in what this project is or what this venture is or whatever is are not really having that mindset or the drive that I think they need to get this done, I'm out,
So you're more
And
decisive.
I'd say decisive, which, it's a positive thing in some ways, but in some ways it isn't, because what happens is you become a little bit more impatient. And as I found, one other thing that I wish my parents had told me is patience is a virtue. So as you get older, you really need to have more patience rather than less. Why? Because, you can stress yourself out real quick when you're older and impatient.
Right.
It's okay to be young and impatient. You'll get over it. But when you're older, all of that stress that comes from impatience and the discomfort that comes with it can really affect you in a negative way.
So,
physically.
Alex, how about you?
I'm going to follow up with that and say I took it a little different spin. So I am impatient. And what I wish my dad had told me, my dad passed about 3 years ago, was to be impatient, period. Right? So, because we act like we have all the time in the world, and we don't.
Right.
And so in my 20s and 30s, I got time.
Right.
And you're right. Right now, it's like if I don't think it's going to go the way I want it to go, I'm out. And I've been told, you have no patience. I got that. I'm perfectly fine with that. So if I'd had that impatience in my persona in my 20s and 30s, and I've seen the impatience work in my 20s and 30s. When I want something, I'm focused, and I get it. So I think the impatience is actually helping me now, and I'm weeding out some of the conversations and some of the relationships that don't serve me. And it's not a matter of them being good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
It just doesn't serve me. So knowing what I'm committed to and being impatient about it is what I'm learning in my 50s. And I'm 55. I just celebrated double nickels. So
Yeah.
double nickels.
Welcome.
So thank you.
Speed limit.
I'm the baby of the table. I'm the baby of the table.
Enjoy it. But it's all good.
I didn't hear something.
You soon come, Dick. You soon come.
But it's
Yeah,
all
somebody
good. But
buzzes.
it can get better. You know, once we're aware of the dynamics, I think when you're aware that time is going faster, then you can bring more consciousness to your decision making.
And
Right?
I was about to say, I'm actually
Enjoying it,
this
right.
aspect of it. And had I had a perspective of this aspect of it in my 40s, I would have had a lot more fun in my 40s and a lot more fun in my 30s. So I'm actually enjoying this part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in a way, what I meant by that is the negative connotations behind the impatience that comes with the fear of wow, time is flying is sometimes you walk away from something a little too quick and you don't give it its just due or time to develop properly.
Fair enough.
And that's what I'm sensing now as I go into things. Sometimes I walk away fast and I always walk away thinking, maybe I should have given that a little bit more time to develop.
Yeah, but don't
know,
you think
but-
you're leaning on your intuition more?
Yes,
Because,
yes, yes.
and I think that's what drives it. Because
Yes.
once you've been through so many situations, you can be like, okay, something about this
Yeah.
energy is feeling familiar, and now you can lean on
Definitely.
your intuition and learn to trust it. Because that's
Definitely
what takes
so.
the
Yeah,
pressure
that's
off,
true.
right?
That's
yeah,
true.
at least that's what I found.
And,
then
the
what-
confidence with that
Right.
only
Yes.
comes from age
Yeah.
because
Right,
you have
yeah.
to have
That's that wisdom we
you
need.
have to
Yes.
be able to test your intuition and see if you were right enough times, and you only get that through going through that time. You know,
Right.
and when you're 50, you realize, yeah, every time I go with my intuition, I always come out right. That's the only way to prove that.
That's
You
your
can't
gut.
figure that out
Yeah,
when
That's
you're
your
18
gut,
or
right?
19.
You have to trust your gut,
Yes.
and that's not something. And you don't
That's true.
get to that trust your gut role until you're old enough to get to trust your gut, right?
That's true.
But let's talk about a little bit quickly before we wrap up this question. What about regrets? Like, so we've been talking about the impatience, and you're like, listen, I'm impatient. I go for what I know.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything that you regret? Because I'm like, you're been in a long-term relationship. Are you married, Alex?
I've been married twice.
Okay, so is there anything that you regret as now as a 55 double nickel man? Like, you know, especially in terms of where you stand right now. Like, you know, we are often wondering who I'm gonna grow old with. You know, I tend to think, I think I really enjoy my company. I fascinate myself. So
That's a blessing.
it is.
A lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I want to be alone. And so
Right.
let's talk about, like, really quickly, what about regrets? Like, do we have any of those? Like, you know, in terms
Why
of
don't you start off,
Yeah, I'll
Alex?
take that.
Mhm.
The regret I have is the lack of planning. So my dad kept trying to tell me, he did tell me this in my 20s. My mom did too. But I specifically remember the conversation about going to buy a motorcycle. And Dad said, you know, you got to plan, son. And I'm like, shoot, I'm 20. I can do what I want. And so I think, but not only planning, but also having guided planning.
Right.
Right. So I think a mentor that would guide me in what I'm interested in, what I want, because what I want may be different from what the next person wants,
Yeah.
but a guided mentor for what I want specifically in life. And I got that later in life, and that's the one regret that I didn't have earlier in life.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I'm really lucky in a lot of ways. I can't say I didn't have mentors. I can't say I didn't have people to literally take me by the hand and say, look, this is how this gets done. I think my one regret is that I didn't push harder when I had the energy of youth to push as hard as I actually could. You know what I mean? I mean, I did grind, but I could have pushed a lot harder. And I could have pushed in a focused manner. I was pushing, but I was
Right.
pushing in 5 different directions.
Directions.
You know, partying hard, playing hard, working hard. But if I really had mapped it out, like you said, with a real focused plan and put all of my energy into progressing forward instead of doing all of this, I think I would have been much farther along. So now, going full circle back to this whole time passing and how the fear kicks in is now I feel the importance of that focus and going forward, but I ain't got the energy like I did when I was 20.
Well, that's true,
And
but
I'm
you
like,
have
oh,
the knowledge now, but you also have knowledge and you have experience. And I think that's the thing. Like, we can lean on our knowledge, our expertise, our experience, our intuition,
Right.
as hard as we leaned on energy when we were in our 20s and 30s. So I think it's just cultivating that, I think, can help. At least, you know, for me, that's what I've really focused. Because, I'm not 25. And
Well,
I
you got
and-
more energy than I do, both of you.
No,
so
but
I don't
it's
know how you do
hard.
it.
It's hard, though.
Yeah.
There are days when we're running, and I'm like, oh, wait, we need to
There
time to stop.
definitely-
Time to stop.
We need to learn, or I have learned to work smarter, not harder, because as
Yeah.
much as I would love to believe that I can still ride out like I used to and stay up all night, it's not true.
Yeah.
And as much as I might like to believe, oh, this body's going to do whatever it's going to do, it doesn't. It does not. It actually goes, you rock out over that way. I'm going to stay here, and then you figure it out. And so now that I know that that's what I'm doing, or I have to respond to actual limitations that are physical now, then I'm like, no, you just got to figure out a better way.
Yeah.
So
Work in concert with your body.
Yes.
Make it your friend and not your enemy.
I love you. So we're going to continue this conversation with another question that you definitely want to talk about. So stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to have some more to say. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.